Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty. Yes, right before you is Djtwitch, and the world is fully aware of his untimely demise. I want to bring this story to you from a different angle, and we're going to divulge into something that could be a little bit taboo. But with the story here, for me, the math is just not mathing. Something is not adding up. Something just does not make sense. I want to play Djtwitch's last video. And on this last video, you're going to hear him speak of injustices as it pertains to black people and people who have met their untimely demise at the hands of police. And you can clearly see that he is a black man with a conscience who is concerned about the plight of black people. But before I go on, take a listen for yourself.
To share and out. Yeah, I just wanted to say something real quick, man. I posted something yesterday about the Jacob Blake incident that happened. Seen the video, read things all about it, and just I posted it to raise awareness and also just to share and outrage, man. This is happening too much, and even my caption said, "Is this routine becoming familiar? The routine of posting about unarmed black folks being brutalized, and then following up with the hashtag justice for fill in the blank." And then in the comment section, everybody goes, "Well, what about Twitch, don't post that. Don't divide us like that." Don't push that narrative, Twitch. I don't have to push the narrative. The narrative's already happening. And also, for everybody that answered the post asking me about, what about the 5-year-old that was killed by this person? What happened to Cannon, that was awful. That was tragedy. That was tragedy. And justice is being carried out on the person that did that. If I'm not mistaken, the person that committed that atrocity is arrested and charged with first-degree murder. We still yelling about justice for Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Elijah McClain, Sandra Bland, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Philando Castile, and countless others that are literally happening, it seems like, every other week. But y'all want to get in the comment section and be like, "Oh, well, what about this?" Like, why is it like when we're raising awareness on something that's happening against human rights, rather than just, if you're going to leave a comment saying, that is messed up. Man, that's messed up. You got to go, yeah, but what about, almost like you trivializing it. Like, it almost has this slight undertone, like you're a little tired of hearing this narrative. Oh, imagine that. Imagine that. That you're tired of hearing that narrative. Imagine that. What's going on, everybody? What's happening? A couple people kind of trickle in right now. How's everybody doing? All things considering, obviously. Sorry, this is not straight at all, but we'll have to deal with that. What's going on, everybody? How we doing? Obviously, during this incredibly challenging time, like I think information and conversation is currency, man. So what I'd like to do is bring in somebody that's been heavy in the activist space, in the space of activism. Also an incredible dancer, incredible dude, to just have some open dialogue on ways that we can help.
Okay, so you heard Twitch speaking of people who have met their untimely demise. These innocent black citizens at the hands of law enforcement. And you can clearly see that it was troubling him, that it was bothering him, that he used his platform to bring awareness to this ever-present issue that black people have been going through here in these Americas for the past 400 years. Let's not forget that law enforcement was formed to track down runaway slaves. So Twitch did not like the injustices that was happening to his people. Now, let me ask you something. This was a man who obviously is aware of police brutality. So you're going to tell me that in the face of America, where his biracial children, who will be perceived as being black, in the United States of America, under a racist system, racist ideologies, dealing with racist people, biracial people with discernible blackness will be considered as being black. Now, I'm not saying that biracial people should identify. That is a very individual and personal decision. However, I'm stating that by default, you will be considered as being black. Now, this man had a lot of work that he could have done. A lot of work that could have made society better for black American citizens and for his children. So you're going to tell me that he's going to leave the earth, leaving his young children in the hands of America KKK. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. That I'm not going to be around to help them deal with what society is going to bring to them. I'm not going to be around to help them to navigate all the injustices that will occur. I'm not going to help them to make this world a better place. I'm just going to delete myself and get on out of here. People, this does not make any sense at all. For a man to be that consciously aware as to systematic police brutality, injustices, and I have children that is going to be perceived or looked at as being black, and I'm just going to bail on out and leave them here, helpless, without a father. No, something just does not make sense to me. Now, this is Djtwitch with his grandfather, who he was very close to. And this is Twitch with his mother. God bless her heart. I'm going to bring up something that a lot of people may not like, that may make a lot of people feel uncomfortable, but puck it. Here it goes. With his consciousness, you wouldn't have to wonder, would he have been better off with a black woman? You know, sometimes we have to be very careful and not allow this society in America that is promoting interracial unions to get ourselves involved to these unions and thinking that somehow they're better, somehow they're more loving, somehow the women are better, the women are more feminine, they're more this and that. They have these types of advantages over black women. We have to be very careful with that, because you really have to wonder what Djtwitch was going through as a black man. Would his white wife even understand that? No, she wouldn't. She's not a black woman. She would never understand his pain. She would never understand, his need to fight for his people, his need to stand up to the system. Epigenetic memory is very real among black people. She has that too, but in a different way, from a different path. His is a different path, from slaves pretty much, being brutalized since they've arrived over here. So she would not be able to understand or connect to his pain and suffering like a black woman would have. This is why we got to be very careful not to allow ourselves to get involved into what's a feel-good story that society as a whole is promoting. So, this whole thing is very strange. It's just really bizarre that, and let me just tell you one thing. I'm going to do another video. I wanted to take this one and leave it right here because it's going to branch off into a different direction, and I do not like to confuse. So I'm going to keep it on this particular angle right here. And you really have to wonder, was this man really happy in his marriage? And going back to the interracial aspect of this right here, about his pain and plight as a black man, the feel that he feels for his people, who could he have spoken to? He couldn't speak to his wife about it. She couldn't empathize properly, empathize right without understanding him. And this is what happens a lot of times too when you marry someone of a different ethnicity or different race. And all of a sudden you can come to an awareness or consciousness where you wake up and wonder, well, who am I married to? And then you can realize that in many ways with my partner, there is a disconnect. Because when I married this other woman or other person, I was not the man that I am today. All of a sudden, the universe or my ancestors spoke to me and gave me a greater understanding of myself as a black man and of my people as black people. Now I'm feeling a connection towards them, but less so of my spouse or people who are not black. Doesn't mean that he hates them. Doesn't mean that he dislikes them. It does mean that there is a slight disconnect now. And that disconnect can make things very uncomfortable for your union. It's almost like certain issues we're not seeing eye to eye on. And sometimes it can be very annoying when people ask you, is racism real? Did this really happen? Is it really true? So there's still a lot of unanswered questions about this case here. And you really have to wonder, why was the case open and closed in 24 hours? But that's going to be on the next video, which I'll do. I'm going to branch off into that. But I wanted to touch on this particular subject here. Keep it straight on this line right here. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that was another edition of Sin Beyond and Through with Monty. And I will see you all beyond and through.